Great to have you with us. It has become the biggest deal of announcement and appointment by the president so far under this administration. An NDC stalwart to become the first ever much talked about special prosecutor. Well, as shocking and exciting the news is, we ask, how much of Martin Amidu do you know, and what will he bring to the table after Parliament approves the president's controversial appointment? Here is what you need to know. Amidu was Attorney General and Minister of Justice from 2011 to 2012. January 2012, he served as Deputy Attorney General in the last 4 years of the Provisional National Defense Council military government. He is a member of the National Democratic Congress after NDC, after civilian rule. It was established in the Fourth Republic in January 1993. He served in the government of Jerry Rawlings as Deputy Attorney General. So he stayed as Deputy Attorney General basically from 4 years before 1993, 1989. So from 1989 to 2001, this man was Deputy Attorney General. He was Attorney General and Minister of Justice from 2011 to January 2012. You know the circumstances under which he was removed as Attorney General. Now, in December 2000 presidential elections, he contested as running mate for John Atta Mills, then unsuccessful presidential candidate of the NDC. Let's go to some of the controversy that's bedeviled his appointments as Attorney General. He was relieved of his post on January 19, 2012, Thursday, January 19, 2012, by President John Evans Atta Mills for misconduct. That was after Martin Amidu had said that there were corrupt elements within the NDC. Martin Amidu single-handedly challenged the legality of the payment of 51.2 million cedis judgment debt to Alfred Woyome. It was after that those monies were paid that Martin Amidu had that press conference. Now, Martin Amidu is on record to have called for a vote against the president, against the NDC, led by John Mahama, citing their failure to retrieve monies paid businessman Alfred Woyome. Now, that's not all about Martin Amidu. We also know that Mr. Amidu is a big deal in Ghana's politics in the circles of the NDC. Martin Amidu is no mean a person. You can't just gloss over him. What kind of person is he, and what has he been through in his life and as an NDC stalwart? Head of JoyNews' political desk, Evans Mensah, tells us more in the following report.
I've accepted the Attorney General's nomination and will in turn submit for Parliament's approval the name of Martin Alemisi Burns Kaiser Amidu.
That announcement took many by surprise, not least former Shraj boss Justice Emil Short.
I must admit that I didn't see it coming. He has a very sound record. I think he should be acceptable to all shades of opinion.
Justice Short was emphatic. Martin Amidu is the best man for the job, but not for the NDC and some of his members of parliament. Former Deputy Attorney General Dr. Dominic Ayine did not mince words, stating his opposition to Martin Amidu.
The 2016 campaign, he was more or less our nemesis when it came to issues of corruption. He was campaigning in the corner of the MPP. I have my doubts whether he will be really very neutral.
Another member of the opposition on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee in Parliament, Roxin Dafiamekbo, agrees. The party itself, the NDC, an organization Martin Amidu served in many capacities for more than 2 decades, is also opposed, fearing he will witch-hunt members of the party, some of whom he had previously accused of corruption. Kofi Adams is a national organizer.
How can that give me comfort when I'm just talking about how this very same person found everything necessary to take on NDC members? Even after we have lost elections, he was still making allegations against the party that he could not substantiate. When very serious scandals that got international attention were happening under this government, I didn't hear my citizen vigilante. Because I did not hear him in 2017, I have my problem, and he has to prove all of us wrong that he will be independent.
The party may be opposed, but its founder and former president, Jerry Rawlings, is fully in support. In a statement, Mr. Rawlings says the president couldn't have made a better choice. He even praised President Akufo-Addo and says, quote, "The president by this appointment has risen above partisanship and recognized a highly principled citizen. He asked the public to give him their full support. The president has now formally forwarded the appointment to Parliament. Mr. Amidu will have to be vetted and approved by a simple majority in Parliament. But will he get the support of the minority side of the House? Only time will tell."
Now, most of us received the news with lots of excitement and shock. For us in the media, it's nothing less than the breaking news of the year. So whilst we are done with our various broadcasts, we hit some streets in Accra to sample your views on the president's appointment so far. Here are some reactions we got.
The moment Ghanaians have been waiting for arrived yesterday when President Akufo-Addo announced the nomination of Martin Amidu as special prosecutor. Now, 10 minutes after that announcement, it was the #1 trend on Twitter, with a lot of Ghanaians sharing varying opinions on his nomination. Today, we are here on the streets of Accra, very close to Tama Station, to hand over the microphone to the people to find out from them exactly what they think about that nomination. Now, behind me, the newspapers all on display, all of them are washed with the nomination of Martin Amidu. I have with me Richard Ashali and then Oscar Asari to also share their opinions on the nomination. Mr. Ashali, what do you think about, first of all, let me start. How did you take it when you heard the announcement?
Very, very good.
Okay.
Martin Amidu is very, very, very prominent, and then he's a very truthful. It seems the president know him already because he's the friend of the late Mr. Joseph A. Adams, the former Deputy Commissioner of Police, CID, and he's a close friend to Martin Amidu. And once Martin Amidu is a friend to him, and he also shares boundary. Martin Amidu also and Nana Akufo-Addo shares boundary with Mr. Adams. So they were close friends. He knows him very well, that he can handle the position. Even at his death, during the death of Mr. J. Adams, he have informed Martin Amidu. Hello. He have informed Martin Amidu that he should take the money, he should make ready and then take the money that Wyoming took. So I'm sure the money will come back to government chest. So I'm very happy about what the government have done. Thank you, President. Thank you.
Were you surprised after the announcement yesterday?
Oh,
because I mean, a lot of people really didn't understand.
I'm very surprised. He done a very good job. He have done a very good job.
Okay.
I'm surprised. It's very good, and he can do the work too.
Okay.
He can do the work.
Great. Let me find out from Oscar Sari. Were you surprised by the announcement yesterday?
No, I'm not surprised by the announcement because Martin Amidu is a Ghanaian.
Okay.
And he has the integrity to do the work. I follow Martin Amidu since he came to the what is called political sense, from JJ's time up to this time. Yeah. The man is good. He can do it. There's nothing wrong about it. And Nanatu is somebody who has followed politics in Ghana here since generation, so he knows what he's doing.
Okay.
He knows people who have got the courage and the integrity to do the work. I think Martin Amidu is such a person that he will not even favor even his own son or wife. So look, in Ghana you have to get somebody who is courageous to fight for us. And look, let us forget about the NDC MPP and let us think about the country first. So that whoever can think about the country is the person who can do the work for us. So I see nothing wrong with taking Amidu as this public prosecutor, the chairman of the public prosecutor. It is good. Yeah, it is good. It will let us know that Nana Akufo-Addo is not thinking about only MPP, but he's thinking about the nation. That is all. So what people are talking about, if you haven't done anything, when we are passing by police station, if you think we are not a thief, you have nothing to fear. Why? If you have not taken any money from the nation, or if you have not squandered any money, why should you fear Martin Amidu?
Talking about taking money from the state, there are some assertions out there that because he was fired by, former President J.E. Mills, then when he was the Attorney General, and he fell out with some NDC members also. Some people think that because of that, he would witch hunt them, he would target them for prosecution. Those are some assertions being shared on the streets. Do you agree with that?
Oh, that is their mind, because they are fearing their shadow. They are afraid of their shadow. Okay. Yes, but Martin Amidu can do the work perfectly. He's a Ghanaian, all right, and once the president has nominated him, there's no mistake, and he will do the work. I know he will do the work. I know him personally, and I know he will do the work.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, same question to Mr.
Is it going to be that when Martin Amidu calls you, that day he will jail you? No. We have competent lawyers in Ghana here. They will defend you. So no one should get afraid of what is going to happen. When we are being called, you go there, defend yourself. If you are not taking it now, well, you'll be set free. So no one should fear. To entertain the fears, I think we are going to do the work for Ghanaians, and he will succeed. By the grace of God, he will succeed, and Ghana will succeed.
Okay. Lastly, do you think corruption would go down? Corruption would go down with a nomination of Martin Amidu?
I hope the corruption will go down, because he wrote in papers that the president should cycle Wyoming. Then later he will draw the letter from the Attorney General that he should leave everything to the president. And I hope people, because of that, people who are afraid and will not do corruption, will not corrupt.
So you think that with the nomination or with the appointment of Martin Amidu, people will be scared now to engage in corrupt practices? That's what, especially in the public sector.
People will scare for corruption. Yes.
Public sector
workers will be scared, and they won't corrupt. Okay. They won't corrupt. They won't corrupt.
Okay.
The president have done a very good job. They have done a very good job. May God bless him. May God bless him and live long.
Are you optimistic, Mr. Sari, that Martin Amidu coming in, we're sure that he's going to be approved by Parliament. With him coming in, do you think, we'll be making headway with our fight against corruption?
Oh, yes. You see, we cannot do it one day. Though he's a human being, unless we Ghanaians help him by at least stopping what we have been doing for the past. You see, if you and I says that Martin Amidu has come to fight for corruption, we have to also help him to stop that corruption that we have been making. Go to ministries, go to so many people. There's corruption everywhere. So the little that he can do or he's come to do, what happens to alleviate corruption? So I think it is a normal, he can do it. Okay. He can do it. We only think that you thank God that we pray for him so that he can do with the courage that he can come to do it. It can succeed.
Okay. Interesting perspectives from the streets here at Chama Station. Earlier when we got here, we stood here for some time and, just listening to people, what their views are. A lot of people are actually in support of the nomination of Martin Amidu. Just about two people I saw here who sort of disagreed. Did not want him as the special prosecutor, but about 7 people that I saw here were all excited about the nomination. And you heard from Mr. Ashley, who is a teacher. You also heard from Oscar Sari, who has worked with the Spectator for 17 years. He sells the newspapers here, actually, also sharing their own views and opinions about the nomination of Martin Amidu as a special prosecutor. Let the conversation continue everywhere you find yourself. Maxwell Ababa, JoyNews.
Interesting views there from the streets. It's time to hear from anti-corruption agencies to tell us what they make of the announcements by the president yesterday. Does this announcement in any way reflect the president's commitment to fighting corruption, and how exactly? Beauty MFA Nate is the executive secretary of the Ghana AntiCorruption Coalition. She'll be joining us in a moment. But the defining moments really for Martin Amidu was that controversy from 2012 when he went against his own government as regards the Alfred Woyome issue. Let's hear how the president put it when he made the announcement yesterday.
I've accepted the Attorney General's nomination and will in turn submit for Parliament's approval when it reconvenes on the 23rd of January 2018 for its first meeting of this new year, the name of Martin Amidu Burns Kaiser Amidu to be the first special prosecutor under the law. I have done so because I'm fully convinced that Mr. Martin Amidu, a prominent legal personality who held the high office of Attorney General of the Republic in the government of the late President Professor John Evans Atta Mills, has the requisite integrity, competence, courage, and independence of character to discharge effectively the responsibilities of this new office. Indeed, the Supreme Court itself has had cause to commend the nominee for his public-spiritedness in the case of Amidu versus Attorney General, Waterville and Wyoming, when the court, per the respected judge, Doche JSC, had this to say about him, and I quote, "The role of the plaintiff, Martin Amidu, a distinguished former Attorney General of this country, needs to be highly commended, as was done in the lead judgment of the court. The plaintiff, in my opinion, must be highly commended for his vigilante role in protecting the wanton dissipation of the public purse," unquote. The court also, in a related suit, had this to say about the nominee. Quote, "The plaintiff, that is to say Mr. Amidu, is to be commended for his public-spiritedness, which has fueled his meticulous and industrious presentation of this case," unquote. I can also personally vouch for his public-spiritedness. We were on opposite sides in a series of landmark constitutional cases in the period leading up to and in the early years of the Fourth Republic, well known to students of constitutional law, which helped shape the evolution of the Constitution of the Fourth Republic. As Deputy Attorney General as he then was, he conducted those cases with the fairness which should be a cardinal feature of the conduct of any self-respecting lawyer. Mr. Amidu has indicated his willingness to accept the appointment. I thus have the honor to submit to Parliament, when it reconvenes, the name of Martin Amidu Burns Kaiser Amidu for its approval for appointment as special prosecutor.
The president's there making that historic announcement. Let's go on the phones now and speak with Beauty Emefanate, Executive Director for Ghana AntiCorruption Coalition. Good morning and thanks for your time, ma'am.
Good morning, Ivan.
Well, this is Daniel, but let's go ahead. What does this appointment mean for people like you?
Good morning to all your viewers. One, this appointment is historic, and this appointment has really impacted on the democracy of Ghana, because it's a bold decision by a president to nominate someone from the opposition party to be part of his, not just a member of his team, but to prosecute issues of corruption. And I want to use this opportunity to commend the president and the Attorney General for this nomination. We believe that this is going to make an impact on Ghana's fight against corruption. Looking at how Mr. Martin Amidu has distinguished himself as a citizen who is very interested in issues of fighting corruption, even within his own government. And we see it that it is going to help address issues of corruption, because even when the name came up, you could see the reactions of the citizens. And it also shows that people will have a fear for engaging in corrupt acts. People will not just engage in corrupt acts knowing that they are not going to be punished. That is why we believe this is a very good appointment, and this would impact on the work that we are doing.
Right, ma'am, this man is still going to be working under the president and to an extent under the Attorney General. What do you expect from the president and the Attorney General in dealing with Martin Amidu?
Yes. Well, the first thing I would like the President and the Attorney General to do immediately is to put in place the regulations that is needed for the Special Prosecutors Act. Because from time past, acts are passed, and we do not put in the same energy as in terms of putting together the regulations. For instance, the Public Financial Management Law does not have regulations as at now, even though that was passed in 2006. So it is important that we quickly put together regulations that will be passed by Parliament, and that will help in the implementation of the Act. The other thing that we also look forward to for the President and the Attorney General to do is to look at how we pass the outstanding anti-corruption laws, such as the Right to Information Bill, the Asset Declaration, or what we call the Conduct of Public Officers Bill, that has been outstanding. That bill will help us to verify assets declared, so that when somebody comes into public office, we know how you came in and how, in terms of your assets, we know in terms of your liabilities when you are coming into public office. And then when you leave public office, we can also verify what you are going out with. So these laws are very important. We also have the Whistleblower Amendment Bill. That is still pending. The same way we have other bills that we think that it is important that appointing the Mr. Martin Amidu alone will not be enough, but we need to set all these laws in place to assist and facilitate his work in terms of fighting corruption in Ghana.
So in the absence of all this legislation, how difficult would his work be?
The difficulty is that in terms of getting the requisite information that he needs to fight corruption, for instance, as I said, even if we look at the asset declaration, now people declare their assets, but we don't know exactly what is the content of the assets. So if Mr. Martin Amidu needs to prosecute someone or investigate someone, he needs to have those information. But we need also citizens to be able to verify if whatever was declared was the truth. So it is important that those things are put in place. Aside that, information is also important for Mr. Martin Amidu, and he's going to work with the existing anti-corruption institutions that are already existing. We have already seen them as having difficulties in terms of prosecution. Now that they are going to support Mr. Martin Amidu, we need to see how best he can take advantage of their expertise, and at the same time, how they can also be resourced so that they can work with him efficiently in addressing the issues of corruption in Ghana.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us.